And now for something completely different.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Cinematic Relief. I'm Thunder.
And I'm Lightning.
Well, if you're following the chronicles of our food, night of the first day, post dinner, we've complained about Bird Box and we've complained about Avatar, and now we're gonna talk about Zodiac, which I have never seen ever. I watched it for this podcast. Chris has seen it a couple times.
And this is installment 1 of our Do We Still Don't Like Jake Gyllenhaal?
I was about to answer you, but that's the name of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you call it? Do we still don't like Jake Gyllenhaal saga?
Sure, yeah.
Um,
Adventures.
installment 1 of 2.
We watched Zodiac. It's off the top of my head, I think it was 2007 film. Yeah, because Iron Man was 08. It's a 2007 film starring Jake Gyllenhaal and, hilariously enough, Robert Downey Jr. and Mark Ruffalo.
Yes.
A bunch of MCU peeps. And it's about the Zodiac killer, which, interestingly enough, I didn't know anything about this movie. I'd never seen this movie.
Did you know anything about the Zodiac killer?
Absolutely not. I
Really?
knew nothing about the Zodiac killer except his name. And boy, was I surprised when his murders and his whole MO had absolutely nothing to do with people's star signs.
No.
I thought for sure I got at least that part. I was like, well, he's called the Zodiac killer. Obviously, he's got something to do with the stars and the months that people are born in.
That's like that's almost exactly like Logan trying to
Explain JJBA.
No. When we were doing a band vacation up in New Hampshire, and Logan was trying to commentate on the Pokemon game, and he literally said out loud, right before the dice roll, "Okay, we're rolling dice. There's no chance I can get this wrong." We roll the dice, and one is always an icon, and he's like, "Well, it's some sort of weird design."
It was a picture of a Pikachu, if I remember correctly.
And he's like, "I can't believe I couldn't even do the dice roll." It was funny.
Yeah. No, I knew literally nothing about this, and if I can skip to the end of me watching this,
Sure. Did you cry?
I did not cry. No.
Just checking.
I know it's fair. I cry a lot. What was the most recent thing I cried at? What did I cry? I cried at something yesterday. Something made me tear up. I've been hit. Was that believable? How was my rate my acting in that scene out of 4?
It was a little late delivery. It was like I've been hit.
That was too much. You exaggerated, I think, a little.
Maybe a little.
No, I looked up. I was at the end of the movie. I was like, it was a long ass movie, and at the end of the movie, there's still
a long movie.
There's still like 4 or 5 years that they explain in text. That like this is what happened between these years.
Yeah.
So I looked it up, and I was like, basically, I googled like how accurate was this movie, and I found article upon article about how this movie is probably the most historically accurate film of all time. Which
they did a good job.
Which is like crazy to think about because this movie was fucking awesome and it was so good and I liked it a lot and I really really like I was surprised at how good it was and it's so crazy to me that they changed barely any of the story.
Yeah.
It must have been like in that like sweet spot in the I think it was not when did it start? When did Zodiac Killer land? It was like 94.
The 60s.
Oh, the 60s?
Like when he started killing?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was something crazy. The first one, the one where it's the guy and the girl in the car.
Yeah.
Which crazy opening. I was really like, I might turn him off from this movie from the intro because it puts you right in it. I really wanted to be in the room with you when we watched this just because I wanted to see your reaction to the whole thing. And this was not what I was expecting, to be honest.
You didn't think I would like it?
I thought you'd think it was okay at the best.
I loved it. Yeah, late 60s. So in the the fact that this movie was so enjoyable and so entertaining and it was that historically accurate makes me think that it must have, if you were a bystander, if you were a nobody in the late 60s, early 70s, it must have been like a daily, like super fun, like I'm gonna try and figure it out today. You know what I mean? Like obviously there's nothing fun about murder and there's nothing fun about serial killers, but like it really does feel like it would be feel like because everyone was in on it, like trying to solve it, you know, because nobody knew, and I think if I was like a nobody in the late 70s, I'd have like a daily like can't wait to hear the news. What is he up to again? I gotta solve this.
Well, you also got to take into consideration that some of these came months apart.
Yeah,
you know,
and then they started coming like decades apart.
Right. So there was probably definitely some hype, but I don't think it was like. I feel like if something as horrific as this would be, if something like this happened today, it would be something they forget the newspaper. They just have an Instagram account,
right,
or something like that, an encrypted Instagram account, and they probably would do stuff daily. Unfortunately,
if the Zodiac killer, well, first of all, if the Zodiac killer happened today, one, of course, it would be on the internet, but two, I feel like that shit would be solved in like 3 days. Like we have so many more resources than we did back then.
Absolutely.
A couple. There's a couple things I want to talk about. I really enjoyed this film. I guess I didn't ask you. Do you like this movie?
So, I didn't want to give this away before we watched both of them. The reason I said let's do a Jake Gyllenhaal double feature was simply because after watching these two movies, plus a third one, but we don't have to watch that. We talked about that.
Right.
I said, "Oh my God, I think he's a good actor."
Yeah.
That was just the thought I had after watching these 3 movies, because after Spider-Man, my dad wanted to watch Nightcrawler. And I was just in the mode of like, before Spider-Man, I might have said no just because I don't care for this actor.
Right, yeah.
And he's one of those guys I felt like was a hit or miss, and mostly misses. And then we watched Nightcrawler, and I was like, oh, that was pretty good though.
And then you watched Zodiac?
And then I was on Netflix, and I was like, I love mysteries and conspiracy theories. I never watched Zodiac.
Right.
So I watched it, and then I was like, oh. And then I watched the cop movie.
Right. End of watch.
Yeah. And I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I was like, that's 3. I haven't watched a movie with him in it since Spider-Man that I was like, not my thing.
Right.
Not to say there isn't. This guy's in a lot of stuff.
Right.
And a lot of it is not my thing.
Right. I'm sure you would hate for different reasons both the Prince of Persia film and Love and Other Drugs with Anne Hathaway.
Right. And I'm not interested in that stuff, but I'm not going to sit here and say thumbs down to Jake Gyllenhaal. Seems like he's got it in him to do well.
That's the thing. I know you've never seen this, and I talk about it all the time, and I tell you to watch it. And it's sort of even a spoiler that telling you that he's in it, because he's sort of the best part, and he's sort of a secret. But if you have a free hour, you got to get eyes on John Mulaney in the Sack Lunch Bunch. It's so good, and they're making 3
I'll
more.
watch it.
They're gonna go straight to Comedy Central for some reason, but they're making more of them. He's in that, and he's the best part. And you don't know he's gonna come. And I ruined that, but it's very good. He's in the trailer, but if you didn't watch the trailer like I didn't, you're like, oh shit, it's Jake Gyllenhaal. No,
but to get back to Zodiac,
yes,
I thought this is a tremendous movie, and obviously it goes beyond him. There's fantastic stars. It was well written. It was accurate. It's an interesting story. It was just. It was a great historical mystery movie.
Yeah.
With an interesting story that didn't need Hollywood to add to it.
Right.
There's even times. This is obviously speculation.
Right.
All of this part, but like the actual murder scenes. The one with the 2 who are on the beach.
On the beach.
I'm watching that scene. I'm like, what could they say or do to have this play out differently? Because it really seemed like the guy was calming him down. It seemed like they almost got away without him killing them.
Yeah.
And then it also, what was on his face? It was creepy. He just had like a veil.
Oh yeah, it wasn't like a mask or
No,
something.
it was like a
It was like a
beekeeping
shirt or something.
uniform.
Yeah.
But anyways, obviously that's speculation. Nobody knows what those two people said in their unfortunate final moments.
Right.
But watching that movie, I'm like, I feel like this is the moment where I would have said something differently. If I was in their situation.
Yeah.
The
kids in the car were fucked, but it seemed
my good God.
It seemed like they still call them kids, but the adults on the beach had a chance and they blew it somehow. Not their fault, obviously. They're dealing with a psychopath.
Right.
But it seems like there was a reality there was a situation there where they could have made it out.
The kids in the car did in fact have a chance, and here was their chance. The guy had a chance, or at least a second chance. The kids in the car had a chance, and that chance is this guy creeps up on you in the middle of nowhere and drives off, and the girl's dicking around not wanting to drive for whatever reason. If I was the guy, I think I'd say, get your ass in this seat. I'll start the engine if you don't want to. We're getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That would creep me. If me and Pauline were parked somewhere, a car stops behind us and takes off, I'm like, okay. I mean, it's 2020 now, but I'd be like, get 911, get them ready. We're getting out of here.
Yeah. Well, if you remember, I feel like you forgot something based on how you were talking about them. The men always made it, if you remember. The men in those two murder scenes in particular, the two men survived.
Did they?
Yeah, for the first two murders, that was his MO. He would kill the lady and leave the man. And then he broke his MO later in the movie.
He effed up that kid in the car, though.
Yeah,
he
but the kid in the car comes back
times.
at the end of the movie as a full-grown adult. He's played by the dude from It's Always Sunny. The creepy family dude. And
is that what it is?
And the guy on the beach comes back 10 years later in the movie to give his testimony for the last time or whatever.
Really?
Because he stabbed the woman on the beach in the heart, but he stabbed the dude in the back. So he got effed up, but he lived. Because the Zodiac killer's original MO was the man's gonna live.
Weird.
I want to talk about.
Oh, it's creepy.
I want to talk about how this movie had a post jail time, post drug addiction Robert Downey Jr., which is the best Robert Downey Jr. that we've ever got. Somehow he just in peak condition, peak form, great actor, and I've talked shit about this actor before, but I've got to hand it to him. Fucking Mark Ruffalo stole the show.
Yeah, he did a good job, didn't he?
He was in a movie with Iron Man, and he was the best part. Fucking young Mark Ruffalo fucking killed it in this movie.
Yeah.
I loved his character so much. His character's arguably the main character besides Jake Gyllenhaal, and he doesn't show up until a half hour, 45 minutes into the movie. And when he does, he just steals the show. I was like, wow. Wow, this is what Mark Ruffalo can do.
Yeah.
I was blown away at how just the fact that Robert Downey Jr. is a force, and he always played, not the slang term for a force. He's like a force of acting. And he has this way in anything he plays, if it's Sherlock Holmes, if it's Iron Man, if it's this dude from Zodiac, he has a really good way of just commanding a scene, and it's I'm going to act the way I always do, but you're going to love it, and you do love it, and I'm doing that in this scene. And I was
and it's always a little different flavor.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is that was happening for a good while, and at first it was just him and Jake Gyllenhaal. I was like, well, clearly Jake Gyllenhaal's character is quiet, and he's Robert Downey Jr. Yeah. And then Mark Ruffalo shows up, and I'm like, Robert Downey who? This Ruffalo guy's got it. He was so good.
He did do a fantastic job.
I have two issues with this film, and they're incredibly minor.
Okay.
And I want to talk about them real quick.
Sure.
I didn't quite understand the animal crackers thing.
Oh, I know. That was a little bit.
Because he kept asking his partner, "Do you have animal crackers?" And he almost always did. And I was like, "Okay, this is just a little thing they do." And then there was the scene where he's in a diner and he wasn't supposed to meet his friend there, but he met his partner there, but he met him, and he's gives him half his sandwich reluctantly, and I was like, "Oh, this guy just likes to eat like Jughead. He's just always eating. That's his thing." But then 30 years later, when his partner quits and he gets a new partner, he asks that partner for animal crackers, and that partner's like, "What?" And he's like, "Never mind." And it's like, "What?"
I think you're right. I think he's a bit of a foodie. I think that last scene that you were talking about, and I remember exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think that's like not so subtle nod to, oh, he's still getting used to the new guy.
Right.
It was whenever you're writing a detective, though, they've always got some sort of odd quirk.
Yeah.
It just happens. It's just kind of the way it works. I feel like his thing is he's a foodie.
Animal crackers, dresses up in a full bodysuit to look like a bat. They've all got their little quirk, you know?
But he, like, I think that's a subtle nod to, like, Sherlock Holmes type
No,
of
the
thing.
fact that I mean, Hercule Poirot also has
right,
his thing.
that's what I'm saying, is every time you write a detective, for whatever reason, it's tradition that they have a little quirk about him.
Yeah, and that was definitely his, but the scene where he asked the new partner for one, for a moment, I was like, does he have a condition? What is happening? I was very confused. Also,
there's another scene.
Yeah, get laid on me.
He's like going to answer a phone, and I think there's like a little fire hydrant thing or something there. And in my head, I'm like, he's gonna crack that, and there's gonna be animal crackers in there. Because I think it's that last scene. He's like, never mind. And he walks off, and I'm like, is he just gonna go like, shh? I got some.
My emergency animal crackers from the late '60s. Okay, this fucker.
Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal's character.
Oh yeah, second thing.
Second issue, and this isn't even real. I guess this is an issue with the movie. This is an issue that with the real life events that happened. This motherfucker was so smart. He was the only person to solve the Zodiac killer, but he wasn't smart enough to not go in the fucking basement.
Oh, I know.
Why the fuck would you follow Creepachu down into the basement? And then he's like, is there someone else in the house? And he's like, no. Come further into the basement, Jake Gyllenhaal.
He's behind. Just keep coming.
Don't look behind you. I'm the only one here. But then the fucker, like, probably because he's not the Zodiac killer.
I get like a cold sweat in that scene every time. I'm like, oh my God.
That movie wasn't a horror film until that scene. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? You're the smartest guy on Earth in 1994 or whatever the fuck year it is. And you go in the basement. You think this guy is the Zodiac killer at this very moment, and you are in his basement where he told you to go. And there's a second Zodiac killer upstairs, and you're like, I'll stay in the basement. But then he makes it out of the house.
He fucking sprints out of the house. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but but the quote unquote Zodiac killer that he was in the basement with unlocks the door and lets him out.
Yeah. I think he's. Oh, here's the thing, the movie leaves a trail of it could have been this guy, it could have been this guy,
right?
Because
the Zodiac killer was never found.
Right.
And I knew that this movie. I knew that's the only thing I knew is that the Zodiac killer was never found or brought into custody or whatever. So I knew this movie was gonna had to have had a little bit of a lackluster ending.
Yeah.
And it did, but I think it did a good job of
I really think it was What other things has he been in? The real creep, the one they go interrogate at his job at like the glue factory or whatever.
The one that he the one who like was the Zodiac killer. He like visits him at the pet shop and he just looks at him as if to be like, I know it's you, and then he leaves.
Yeah, he has the Rolex.
Yeah,
not the Rolex. It's like a Zodiac watch.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. I think it's him, and we'll never know because that guy died.
It seems like it was him. Based on the movie, and I know the movie's probably wants me to think this, but based on the facts that they go through and the things that this guy does and the little blurbs at the end about how he like died on the way to go testify or some shit, I think it was him too.
Yeah.
But that's the unfortunate thing about detective work is that because all the main suspects died, the case will remain open for the infinite end of time.
Another thing about this movie, and I don't get this feeling often, but it actually has almost nothing to do with the movie. It has to do with this real life killer who is horrifying.
Yeah.
But I'm watching it and like I feel like I'm watching something I'm not supposed to watch. Like, I'm gonna piss him off by watching this,
oh,
and then I'm gonna get a letter or some shit.
I see what you're saying.
Like, I feel dirty watching this movie.
Yeah, the real Zodiac killer is gonna find out that you were watching the movie.
Yeah.
So,
do you know what I mean? Like,
no,
I'm watching
yeah,
something
yeah.
I'm not supposed to watch.
Yeah.
I'm getting the inside info he doesn't want anybody to see.
This guy.
Yes.
Yeah, his
him.
name is John Carroll Lynch. He was...
Is that his character name or
No, his character's name is Arthur Lee Allen.
Yeah.
He was in The Founder, he was in Fargo, he was in Gothica, he was in Zodiac.
The Founder. That's what I notice him from.
Yeah,
the most.
that's a McDonald's movie?
With,
believe it or not, another Spider-Man villain.
Yes.
That's funny. I couldn't have done that on purpose. No, I when we were talking about Avatar all those weeks ago, we said a lot. We shit on that movie a lot, and it all deserved every second of it. But there was a point in the podcast where I was finding that I didn't have a lot left to say, just because I just didn't have anything else to say. And I'm kind of finding myself there again, but just because it was such a solid movie. Like, this was a long movie, and it didn't feel long.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a weird thing to say. The movie takes place over the course of like 40 or 50 years, and that in that regard, it felt long. But I watched the movie, and then I'm like, oh, that was 2.5 hours of my life.
Yeah.
It was just told so well. This story was told so well, and it's always going to baffle me that that's just what happened. That's just a real life. There's a lot
I know.
There's a lot of stories that movies or books or whatever that are based off real life events that are only interesting because they were extrapolated on.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever seen the Hatfield and McCoy miniseries?
Yes.
It's fantastic. I love it. But a lot of that is inference. A lot of them is like, a lot of that, especially the later two episodes, are like,
assumptions.
Well, this is what probably happened.
Yeah.
We're going to make a good story. But this was just like, no, let's make a movie based on... And this is, I'm sure you know, because they talk about this in the film, the second film based off the Zodiac Killer. The first one was made around the time that he was still killing, and they actually go to see the movie in this movie.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right, they do.
And like Mark Ruffalo and Jake Gyllenhaal are there.
Based off the Zodiac. It's called Scorpion or something. It's
right.
It's like it's a Hollywood take. It's
right.
Yeah.
I remember a distinctive shot where they're showing Mark Ruffalo watching the character on the screen that's supposed to be him.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is so meta. This is like the most meta a movie has gotten in a while that I've watched, I think. But I didn't dislike it. But it's funny because that movie screening was an important piece of the puzzle, because that's the first time that Jake Gyllenhaal and Mark Ruffalo's characters met.
Yeah.
So you had to show that. It was very cool. I think whatever else I'm going to say is just going to be me repeating myself, saying that I can't believe that this is how it actually happened.
Yeah.
It made for such a compelling story.
There's a movie called JFK that's very similar to that.
Okay.
It's just follows the leads, because there's never been a case that, you know, they've never pinned anybody. There's never been a trial for JFK because what's his name was killed before it.
Right.
So the whole movie follows...
person they think killed... You're saying the person they think killed JFK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oswald.
Yes. Or as I call him, number 5.
Well, yeah. So the whole movie's about, I think it's lawyers. It might be detectives. I haven't seen it in so long. But it's the same concept as of Zodiac. They're like, oh, this is a lot of info about the killing of JFK that we were not privy to.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting movie. Another one.
So does that movie start like opening credits blam? He's dead.
I think they're past that. I think it's like 20 years after.
Oh, I see. Okay.
There's another one. So I went on a tangent because I love conspiracies, and I wanted to know more about, believe it or not, just as a musician, I wanted to know more about '90s rap culture because I was not that privy to it growing up. It just wasn't what I listened to. So I watched like all the documentaries in the TV show about the Biggie and Tupac murders. They straight up know who killed Tupac. But
wait, really?
For whatever reason, they can't. I forget. He did a plea deal or something like that, and they're like, "Well, we can't charge him for it."
Right. Yeah, I do remember something about that.
He looks right into the camera and he's like, "I shot him." He's like, "I can prove it." And like,
yeah,
he's just straight up.
Well,
and I was like,
mystery solved.
Anybody else? Am I the only one who's seen this?
Maybe I'm misinterpreting this.
I just felt like I was like, I'll go arrest him if nobody else wants to. He's right there.
No, I really liked this film, and it surprised me how much I liked it, and I'm glad you told me to watch it, and I'm looking forward to Nightcrawler. I know it's a different movie.
Well, I was just going to say,
obviously.
Because I know Nightcrawler's like a superhero thing, do you want me to tell you what this Nightcrawler, like a basic outline of what this film
Nightcrawler's a superhero thing?
Isn't it? Isn't there?
Oh, he's an X-Men. I thought you meant this movie's a superhero
No.
movie.
Well, I didn't want you to get confused.
No, this movie is about scanners.
Scanners? Oh, yeah.
That's what they're called. They're called Nightcrawlers, but they're also called scanners. They're the people who listen to police scanners, and they show up to get the best news coverage.
Yes.
Essentially.
Yes.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, the movie Nightcrawler is about Jake Gyllenhaal, who's a fictional character who's like the best one.
Well, he
don't spoil anything, because I am going to watch it very soon.
No, I know you are. I wouldn't call him the best.
Oh, okay. Now I'm just going on what I remember from hearing about
it. Sounds like you know as much as you need to know about that film.
Also, I don't know why.
He's insane. I'll put it that way.
Okay. I don't know why. I know they're completely different movies about two different things, starring two different actors, but I always confuse Nightcrawler and Snowpiercer. I don't know why.
Oh, I don't even...
But I don't think I'm ever going to not confuse them until I've seen both of them.
Okay. I don't even know about that.
Snowpiercer is the Chris Evans film where all of civilization is on a train that's always moving.
Oh.
And they just turned it into a TV show, and Chris Evans also makes an appearance in that, I'm pretty sure. What time is it? Oh, perfect. We got plenty of time to check in with Roger Ebert, because guess what? He also watched the film Zodiac.
No kidding.
I
guess that makes sense.
The title of the article is just Zodiac, so didn't come up with one this time, Roger Ebert. That's fine, though. Chris.
3.5.
How many? Okay, well, just as a reminder to you and the audience, this fucker gives reviews out of 4.
Yeah.
So 3.5 would be, holy shit, it was amazing. I loved it. In this guy's eyes, but you're wrong because he thinks it's 4 out of 4.
Whoa, the rare 4 out of 4. I mean, he's right.
Yeah. So here we go. Starting off strong with a Roger Ebert-ism. Zodiac is the All the President's Men of serial killer movies.
Okay.
with Woodward and Bernstein.
Squidward.
Woodward, actually.
Oh.
With Woodward and Bernstein played by a cop and a cartoonist. I can only assume that there's 2 characters in All the President's Men called Woodward and Bernstein. It's not merely based on California's infamous Zodiac killings, but seems to exude the very stench and provocation of the case. The killer, who was never caught, generously supplied...
When are we going to get that candle? Sorry.
The stench and provocation of the Zodiac killer case?
Yeah.
I'd buy it. Not for $90, Gwyneth Paltrow, but, you know, if I can just take a moment to shit on the other public figure I like to shit on. The killer, who was never caught, generously supplied so many clues that Sherlock Holmes might have cracked the case in his sitting room. But only a newspaper cartoonist was stubborn enough and tunneled away long enough to piece together a convincing case against a man who was perhaps guilty. By the way, this guy destroys his whole life trying to figure out the Zodiac killer.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, he basically
loses
did it.
His family.
He basically did it, but he loses basically all his friends and family in the process.
And the real-life Zodiac killer calls, like, once a night, like, I'm here, bitch.
Right,
I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
God, that's when you stop, right?
Right,
that's when you
right.
stop, sell your house, and move to a cabin out in the woods, secluded from everybody.
Here's what happens. He calls you once. You're like, maybe that was him. He calls you like 4 or 5 times. You or me, we pick up the phone. We're like, okay, we're done. I promise. Leave me alone. He picked up the phone. He's like, this is your real name.
Oh yeah, he like calls him out.
Yeah.
He's like,
he was
here's
like,
your
I know
name.
who you
I'm
are,
coming
you
to
fucker.
get you.
I'm writing your name in the death note now, bitch. I know the truth.
I know. You and I answer it the 5th time. We say, sorry, sir, we're done doing this. I'll move. I'll go wherever you want. I'm sorry.
Move as far away as you want me to, sir.
He answers. He's like, here's your name. Here's your address. Here's my gun clock. I'm coming.
Fuck. All right, let's go back to Ebert. The film is a police procedural crossed with a newspaper movie, but free of most of the cliche of either. Its most impressive accomplishment is to gather a bewildering labyrinth of facts and suspicions over a period of years and make the journey through this maze frightening and suspenseful. I will agree with that. I feel like, once again, this was such an interesting thing that happened in American history that they didn't have to try that hard. They just sort of had to write an accurate script, and then the movie...
It's almost like they could have done that with Airbender.
...was interesting on its own right. Fuck. Oh, my God. Okay. I spit on my phone. I could imagine becoming hopelessly mired in the detail of the Zodiac investigation, but director David Fincher and writer James Vanderbilt, both names I recognize, find their way with clarity through the murk. In a film with so many characters, the casting by Ray Mayfield is also crucial. Like the only eyewitness in the case, we remember a face once we've seen it. I see what he's saying. Talks about the film's opening with the kids. He's talking about the plot. He goes through basically all the points. Now he's talking about Robert Downey Jr.'s character. Holy shit, he talks about the plot for a long time. What makes Zodiac authentic is the way it avoids chases, shootouts, grandstanding, and false climaxes, and just follows the I always struggle with this word. Methodical progress of police work. Just as Woodward.
It's not as scary as Spirited Away, but
it didn't invoke as much emotion as The Secret World of Arietti. But just as Woodward and Bernstein knocked on many doors and made many. Who are these fuckers? Am I supposed to know who Woodward and Bernstein are? Do you know who he's referring
probably
to?
From the 1890s. I don't know.
I assumed they were characters from All the President's Men, which is a film I'm not familiar with, just off the title. Just as Woodward and Bernstein knocked on many doors and made many phone calls and met many very odd people, so do the cops and Graysmith walk down strange pathways in their investigation. Pretty sure Graysmith is Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Because Graysmith... Oh.
It might be Jake Gyllenhaal.
Graysmith is Jake Gyllenhaal. Because Graysmith is unarmed and civilian, we become genuinely worried about his naivete, and risk-taking, especially during a trip to a basement. That is, in its way, one of the best scenes I've ever seen along those lines. Is that what he said?
Is that what he just said?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, he's right. That's
especially
horrifying.
During a trip to a basement, that is, in its way, one of the best scenes I've ever seen along those lines, which I'm assuming he means a suspense-filled scene that you would find in a horror film.
In the process of this movie, the storytelling, the arc, that's like the grand finale of the movie. He's standing possibly toe-to-toe with the Zodiac Killer in the basement they've been searching for this movie.
Fully believes that he's standing in front of the Zodiac Killer in that moment.
Yeah. Face to face. The guy who's been calling him every night.
Right.
The guy he called out 1,000,000 times. The guy who knows exactly who he is.
Right. Yeah.
That's horrifying to put yourself in that situation. Then take a step back. That supposedly verbatim happened in real life.
Right. Yeah.
I pissed my pants.
I was gonna say we don't find out who the other person in the house was. I assume because we don't know in real life.
Right.
Because Graysmith, Jake Gyllenhaal's character, wrote a book about this, and I can only assume that we got most of the info of his love life and this basement scene and stuff from his book. You know?
If I was Graysmith,
yes,
after the first phone call, if I was determined to continue this investigation, I buy a gun, I keep it on me at all times, and anybody who asks me about the Zodiac thing, I just do this with my coat. I just have the gun behind my coat, aimed at them the whole time, like, what about it?
Yeah, he seemed very, very keen on trying to do this using just his wits and tenacity.
And it's
because
real.
it wasn't
it's
that
a real thing.
As a white male adult in 1990 whatever it was during the basement scene, it wasn't that hard to acquire a gun.
No, God. No.
So he could have.
It also wasn't that hard to kill somebody in your basement and get away with it.
Right. God.
That's the other thing too. Ooh, can I talk about this for a second?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
It has kind of nothing to do with the movie itself.
Okay.
But it boggles me.
Yeah.
Because I recently watched the Unabomber documentary on Netflix.
Okay.
Do you know anything about the Unabomber?
Not really, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I didn't either really until I watched the documentary. He was a guy, just a dude, who had these crazy, he had very warped vision of how the world should be, in a cabin in the middle of the woods in like Oklahoma, and he just fucking mailed bombs to random places.
Oh.
And they caught that motherfucker, the guy who left no fingerprints. Just with
but
no return address,
the Zodiac
just sent bombs randomly to places.
If the Zodiac killer left like
he just walks right up to you like gun turned and just and it's like this you can't catch this guy. And they expanded. The Zodiac killer went longer, but they expanded the same. The Zodiac killer was going on. Oh my God, what a crazy time the mid-'70s and early '80s were. You got to worry about the Unabomber. You got to worry about the Zodiac killer. Jesus Christ. That's horrifying.
Yeah.
This guy's just like, I'm gonna mail a bomb to this person. Why?
Did he? Last thing we'll say about this because it is off topic. Did anything actually explode, or did they manage
he killed
to?
people.
Oh, okay.
The first few, he actually had fucking notebooks. He was pissed he didn't kill anybody the first few times, and then he gets pumped because he did.
Oh, he had like
disgusting.
a journal, and
the journal was coded. It's all numbers, but it's a journal.
And we
have
this
all
point
the access.
read it and stuff.
He is caught. I think he might have died.
I think the Unabomber died in jail. Pretty sure.
Don't go fact check that.
That's
not on us.
Yeah. That's not the Unabomber's not on us.
But official slogan of Thunder and Lightning.
Yeah, fuck the cow shit.
The hotels where the cow is. Unabomber's not on us.
Jesus Christ.
But you catch that motherfucker.
But you can't catch the guy. You can't catch the guy who sends like Riddler codexes in ancient hieroglyphics to the police.
Yeah. He literally shows up to the newspaper and he's like, print this. I want somebody to catch me.
Yeah, because as soon as the first murder happens and then he does that call where he's like, I did it.
Yeah.
And in my head I was like, well, if it was nowadays, they would just trace that call, find that guy in an hour.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know that whole scene where they're doing a talk show? They get him on the phone?
That was super suspenseful.
That was creepy. Also was a prank call, I found out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
The person he was talking to wasn't the real Zodiac killer, but it sounded like him.
I know.
Oh, I think it might have been the same voice actor, but in real life it was a prank.
Prank call.
God. Okay. All right. Oh, well, I guess it makes sense because they bring Beach Guy back, and he's like, no, it's not him.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to Ebert. Fincher gives us times, days, and dates at the bottom of the screen, which serve only to underline how the case seems to stretch out to infinity.
It has. It's officially, this guy is dead, whoever did it, and we're never going to solve the case.
Right, yeah.
It's infinity, that we're never finding out what happened.
That was me. I think not knowing anything about the Zodiac Killer is the way to consume this movie because the little dates at the bottom of the screen were the most fascinating part to me. I was like, how many months away is the next one going to be? And then it was like 17 years later. I was like, what the fuck? This movie never ends. This guy's still out there.
Also, what was he doing?
I don't know. I know. He was just sitting.
He was on a roll in the 60s.
Right.
Not to underscore these real people's deaths, but like, you were chugging along, man.
That's one of the things that I was kind of thinking of. I was like, people, like generations of people have gone by, and we've forgotten about the Zodiac killer, and all of a sudden he's back. What was he doing? Was he in the desert?
Was he not pissed off for 20 years, and then somebody like bumps into him on the sidewalk, and he's like, "Son of a bitch."
Yeah, I don't, and we'll never know.
No, we will never know.
There is even time-lapse photography showing the Trans America building going up. Oh, that was cool.
That was really cool.
That had to have been CGI, right?
Oh, it had to.
If it wasn't, I have no idea how they did that shot. If it was CGI, fucking incredible CGI for 2007.
Oh, yeah.
It was so cool.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I completely forgot about that, but I did want to mention it. That looked awesome.
That was if that wasn't CGI, genuinely curious how they did that. Everything leads up to a heart-stopping moment when two men simply look at one another. It is a more satisfying conclusion than Dirty Harry shooting Zodiac dead. Oh, he's referencing the old movie.
Yeah.
Say in a football. Okay. Sure. Fincher is not the first director you would associate with this material. In 1992, at age 30, he directed Alien 3. Did not know that. Which was the least of the Alien movies, but even then had his eye. Alien 3 is one of the best looking bad movies I've ever seen. I disagree with that. I think the CGI in Alien 3 is pretty terrible. It's like year one of CGI being in movies.
Well, you got to remember, this thing that he's doing right now was from 94.
Alien 3?
No, the Zodiac thing that you're reading right now is from like 1994 or something. So CGI still is not great. The movie that he's doing a review of right now is also super old.
You mean the Dirty Harry movie? What are you talking about?
You're saying I disagree. The CGI looked awful
in Alien 3.
You also have to remember, I'm sure his opinion on it would have changed, but where he is in history right now, that CGI probably wasn't that bad.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Writing this Zodiac's review, the CGI in Alien 3 probably didn't suck.
Well, the Zodiac movie came out in 2007.
Oh, did it really? I thought it was in the 90s.
No, it's 2007.
Oh my God, he was like a year away from being Iron Man.
That's what I was saying earlier.
Oh my God.
He filmed this and then signed with Marvel. But Alien 3 came out in 92, is what you're saying. So
I thought they were much closer in time than they actually were.
No.
That's my bad.
No, that's okay. What I was getting at is Alien 1 is a dude in a suit.
Yeah.
Alien 2 is many dudes in a suit. Yeah. Alien 3, they're CGI monsters, and they look terrible, and you can tell that the budget was not up to snuff on Alien 3. Bad movie. His credits include Seven from 95, a superb film about another serial killer with a pattern of crimes. The Game in 97 with Michael Douglas, caught in an ego-smashing web. Fight Club from 99, beloved by most.
Hey.
Beloved by most, not by me.
Of course not, piece of shit.
Keep that in mind for next episode. The ingenious...
For next episode?
Yeah, because when we do a Roger Ebert review, I want to read what he thinks of Fight Club.
I want to watch Fight Club and read what he thinks of Fight Club.
Oh, okay, then maybe look.
Did I say read? I mean, we could read Fight Club, but that's not what this
Let's
podcast
read
is about.
Fight Club.
No, can we watch Fight Club? You've never
Sure.
seen it, right?
No, I haven't. I know
but
how
you
it
know,
ends.
yeah, but still, you should watch it.
The ingenious terror of Jodie Foster in Panic Room from 2002, and now 5 years between features, his most thoughtful, involving film. Oh, I thought that was the end. There's one more paragraph. He seems to be in reaction against the slice and dice style of modern crime movies. His composition and editing are more classical, and he doesn't use 9 shots when one will do. As in, like, there's not a lot of cuts.
Yeah.
If this same material had been put through an Avid to chop the footage into 5 times as many shots, we would have been sending our own ciphers to the studio. Okay, I get it. Just move on, please. Fincher is an elegant stylist on top of everything else, and here... Sorry, saw something weird out of the corner of my eye, I thought. And here he finds... It's him! He's under my bureau! And here he finds the right pace and style for a story about persistence in the face of evil. I am often fascinated by true crime books, partly because of the way they amass ominous detail The best I've read is Blood and Money by Tommy Thompson.
Not Zodiac by Grace Smith.
And Fincher understands that true crime is not the same genre as crime action. That he makes every character a distinct individual is proof of that. Consider the attention given to Grace Smith's choice of mixed drinks. Wow, what a terrible writer Roger Ebert was. That's how that review ended. Let's look back though. He loved it, and he loved it for all the reasons we loved it.
That's two in
a row that we agreed with him.
Yeah,
because he hated it.
Are we
Last
becoming
Airbender.
bitter old men, or is he just coming around in the mid 2000s? I think
there's just a movie so shitty or a movie so spectacular that you can't have a terrible opinion about it. Like, I've never seen Fight Club, but like, I'm sure it's okay. I'm sure it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
I'm sure it stands on its own 2 feet. Dr. Payne just got back to me, by the way. So,
cool.
Crisis averted. New Dr. Payne this week, and by this week I mean like 2 months ago.
The October episode.
Yes, yeah. What was that? Oh no, I just think it gets to a point where there's a movie so shitty or so spectacular that you can't disagree. Oh, that's what I was saying. Fight Club. If you, I'm sure Fight Club is a great movie, but if I don't like it or if someone else didn't like it, I feel like we could have a conversation about like, oh, that's interesting. You didn't like it like this, and and those are the movies where it's like it was a good movie. Roger Ebert didn't have to shit on it that much.
Right.
I know it's a children's movie, but Pokemon the first movie is a perfect example. I think that's a great film. I'm an adult. I grew up with it, obviously, but even as an adult, I can see its staying power in children's cinema. And he fucking shit on it for pages. But I think that Zodiac and Avatar are the two extremes. I think we accidentally saw a movie so shitty that he couldn't hate it, and he couldn't not hate it, and a movie so great, so spectacular that he had to like it.
Yeah.
I wish we wrote them down. I don't remember the other 4 out of 4s.
I know.
I think maybe he gave Finding Nemo a 4 out of 4. I'm not sure why I think that, but I think there was one other one that he gave a 4 out of 4.
Yeah.
We should keep a list. I'm glad that it was Zodiac that that did it, because I really did like this movie. I was surprised at how, because I'm not. You love documentaries. I don't.
Yeah.
I really don't like history. If a movie feels like a history lesson, I'm just sort of like, why am I watching this? Like, there's even some Godzilla movies where I'm just like, this is boring because it feels like a history lesson, you know?
Yeah. Well, history can be interesting if it's taught properly.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And I'm glad you said taught, because there's a lot of history professors that I had that have completely exemplified, like, the history is boring and I'm a boring person talking about boring ass history. But I've had a few professors that are like, no, history's awesome and I'm a good teacher, so fuck you. You're gonna like history. And after I'm done with that class, I'm like, I did like history. And the Zodiac is a perfect example. It was completely educational and 100% historical and factual, and it was an incredible film. And I was surprised at how much I liked it.
What ever seen Saving Private Ryan?
I have not.
I'm not going to talk about the scene. I know I've talked about it a million times.
Okay. I don't know what scene you're talking about.
The water bottle. The canteen.
I don't think you have talked to me about
this. I thought you scarred me into never mentioning it on the channel again.
Oh, maybe.
There's a canteen, and the canteen gets the guy gets shot.
Okay.
And the bullet exits through the canteen.
Okay.
And at first water's pouring out, and then blood starts pouring out.
Okay.
Maybe I just told Pauline like 13 times, and she's like,
yeah, I don't remember this. I don't recall this.
Spielberg. It might be one of his best movies.
Saving Private Ryan is Spielberg?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And there's the opening scene, D-Day. It's so vivid. I'm just saying, another good history movie that we could watch.
Oh, okay.
Would be Saving Private Ryan. But there's just a shot, and it's in the background, where I think it's a medic. He's helping somebody out, and he just gets shot through the hip or whatever, and it exits out his canteen.
Oh, this isn't even the focus of the shot?
No, it exits out his canteen. If you watch, water starts pouring out, and then blood starts pouring out, and it's like, oh my god.
That's cool. That's cool because that might be visual effects, but it could also be like prop blood.
Right.
That's neat. That's cool.
Yeah. There's another shot. This is there wasn't anything special about this shot, but I was just like, oh.
The only thing I know about Private Ryan is there's like a mid-movie twist where they think they find him, but they don't.
Yeah.
They found someone else. I know about that.
Okay.
And I think the only reason I knew about that is because I was a big Nathan Fillion fan back in the day. So I was like, let me look up his movies. I was like, he was Private Ryan in Saving Private Ryan? I was like, oh, no, he wasn't.
Yeah.
That was Matt Damon?
Yep.
Yeah, and he was the fake one. He was the fake out.
Yeah. That's sad. That's a sad part in that movie.
Yeah.
Since you already know the scene, they walk up to him. The whole point in quote unquote Saving Private Ryan, is that all of his brothers died in war, and when that happens, if you're the sole survivor of your family name, this holds true to today. You come home.
Oh.
If you're the only one who holds your family name, you come home.
That's interesting.
Even if there's a draft, you can't be drafted.
Right. So he was the only living Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't be drafted.
Oh, okay.
But
you have you don't have the same name as your dad and your mom? No, I guess you don't.
No, I mean I do have the same name as my dad, but I'm his child.
Right.
I'm the last one who can continue my family to the next generation.
Oh, but I thought you meant you could be drafted, but like, knock on wood, if you were in the military and then your father died, you would have to go home because now you're the last one left.
No. Well, I shouldn't. At this point in this conversation, I'd be talking out of my ass.
Okay.
So I don't want to go any further. But the whole point is, there's no other Ryans in his family of that generation.
Right.
He's got to come home.
Right.
So they go to get him. The fake out, the other Ryan.
Yeah.
They're like, walk up to him and they're like, your brothers are dead. And he's like, starts freaking out. And he starts crying. And he's like, but they're in grade school. And then they're just like, face palm like,
yeah.
What did you just say?
Yeah.
And then it crushes my heart because they're walking away and his dialogue's still going on. And he's like, what if there was a mistake? What if his brothers are okay and mine are dead?
Oh my
God!
God!
They just fucked this guy up in the middle of Nazi-torn France.
Yeah.
And it's like that guy is gonna die because he's not paying attention.
Saving
now.
Private Ryan's a World War II movie?
Yes.
I don't know why I thought it was a Vietnam movie.
No, World War II.
Interesting.
I'm just sitting there. The movie's going on. I'm like, that guy's dead. He's not gonna pay attention to anything now. He's worried about his brothers.
I see. So they have to go into an active, ongoing war to inform this guy that he's
got to come home.
I see. He's not lost somewhere.
No. He
I
actually.
See. Okay.
He knows exactly where he is.
Right.
They just have to. Because it's like modern day, that's a phone call, but
right.
But they have to literally, like Lord of the Rings style, trek through France to go find Ryan. But yeah. Final thoughts on that. There's another short scene. This guy gets shot in the helmet. Like, it just it dings off his helmet.
Oh, yeah.
And it's one of those, like, oh, don't do it. He takes off the helmet, looks at it, shot right in the head, and it's like, oh, you were so close.
That's just dumb.
Yeah.
That's just dumb.
Well, he's, like, in shock. He's, like, and takes off the helmet, looks at it, and he has a quick...
That's like some... like old school Call of Duty shit. That's like some Legend of Zelda shit
Yeah.
where it's like, I snipe you and it's like, what the fuck was that? I snipe you again, you're dead.
Yeah. And there's like a second of a smile on his face and it's like, oh no.
No. No. Almost.
Yeah. But that's Saving Private Ryan. Thanks for listening. No, another good movie to watch.
No, Zodiac was great. It's also on, believe it or not, we didn't, plan this. It just so happens that Netflix is a super popular streaming platform. But Zodiac's also on Netflix if you want to go watch it. I suggest it. There are some things like, don't watch it if you're too young. And like, if you're grossed out by murder and put off by graphic murder scenes, there is a few of those. One in the opening scene.
That's what I was saying. It starts off strong.
Yeah. So if you can get past the opening scene of the Zodiac Killer, just know,
keep watching.
just know that there's one more scene like that about 45 minutes in. But other than that, it's just a really cool crime drama, murder mystery type thing, and it's really good and entertaining. Not that we'll see this in theaters because fuck. But Death of the Nile is almost here, and I'm very excited. I can't wait to do an episode on that.
Oh, Pauline we just watched
Murder
for the first time up New Hampshire. She loved it, and that's how we found out. Have you seen the trailer for it?
For Death of the Nile?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We watched it up New Hampshire for the first time.
Oh, okay.
We literally finished that movie the next morning. She was like, there's a trailer, right?
Right.
I was like, what?
Yeah. Did you know that I was reading, it obviously doesn't function. You can't take it out on the ocean, but they built a whole boat for that movie. For the new Death of the Nile movie.
Really?
Yeah, he wanted the Kenneth Branagh, who is the star but also the director and probably a producer and writer. He wanted the reaction of the actors seeing the boat that they built genuine and caught on film.
That's awesome.
So they built a whole boat for
I
this
love
movie
when they
to take
do that.
place in, and it obviously doesn't go.
Right.
But it is on the water and offshore or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's totally real, and they didn't have to do that, but they did. And I love the first one. I can't wait for the second one. That just about does it for us. We had just enough time to film to record a podcast, and we've done it. So until next time, I've been Thunder.
I'm Lightning.
Join us next time for Nightcrawler, not Snowpiercer. Maybe someday, but next episode is Nightcrawler, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, and we'll see you next time.